Okay, as I told you earlier, our nutrition unit is divided into three. We have got food and nutrients, we have got minerals and vitamins, and now the last portion is now on the fiber, fat, water, and protein. So by the end of this year, you should be registered nurses who have got adequate knowledge, who have got adequate skills, and the registered nurses that are able to practice and provide adequate health education on different types of diseases. And those different type of diseases, you should also be able to relate what type of nutritional counseling that you are able to give to each and every client, because you are well aware of different types of carbohydrates, different types of vitamins, their role in the body, their deficiency, and you must also be able to relate it to the body system as you are aware of different structures. So by the end of this unit, you need to explain the dietary fiber, the non-starch fiber, tabulate fibers, their sources and their action in the body, state the recommended intake of fiber, outline the benefits of including starch, fiber in your diet, state what are the harmful effects of excessive fiber intakes, describe the fat as a nutrient. I want you also to do that. And then I also want you to define, tabulate, define the following fats: storage fat, structural fat, glycerin, tabulate different sources of fat contribution in the diet, state the fat functions of fat, define different fat in food, describe the role of triglyceride and the fatty acids in the body, outline the role of linoleic or fatty acid, that is omega-6, in their food structure, describe the role of linolenic omega-3 fatty acids in their food sources, and mention the linolenic omega-3 fatty acid deficiency, list the health effect of fat, and mention the recommended dietary fat. You should also be able to explain the protein and their functions in the body, and also describe the essence of water in the body. Explain the following water balance: thirst, dehydration, and satiety. Outline the importance of water balance in your body. So let's start with the dietary fiber, non-starch fiber. Fiber are structural parts of plants found in the cell wall of the plant, particularly in vegetables, fruits, and grain. A mixture of carbohydrates called polysaccharides are called non-starch polysaccharides. So sources of fiber, and you should also put it on the back of your mind. What are the sources of fiber in your diet? So the dietary fiber includes cellulose, hemicellulose, that is from the dry seed, not digested like any other carbohydrate, viewed as a non-available carbohydrate, and fiber is very, very important in the digestive system. And it stays in the intestine, and it also gets out through the feces. It gets fermented into fatty acid. Fatty acids are absorbed in large intestine and used for energy sources. Fiber classified on solubility of fiber and their effect on the body system. And then they've got soluble fibers as well as insoluble fibers. Let's look at the fiber, their sources and action in the body. We've got the types of fiber. We've got soluble fibers as well as insoluble fibers. Type of fibers, we've got gums. Some are hemicellular. Those are found in dry seed and pectin, as well as the cellulose one is the hemicellulose, and lignin. Food sources, where do we get soluble fibers? We have get it from the fruits, oats, legumes, and cereals and vegetables, as well as in the other insoluble, we'll get it from wheat bran, whole grain, bread, and flour. And what are their action in the body? The soluble fibers, they delay the movement of food in the gastrointestinal tract. It delays the glucose absorption and lowers the blood cholesterol in the body. How about insoluble fiber? It increase the movement of food in the GIT. It increase the fecal weight, slow the starch breakdown, delay glucose and absorption. There is also some type of they sometimes work together in conjunction. That's why you need soluble fibers as well as insoluble fibers. So what are the recommended intake? In adults is 25 to 35 grams per day. And then eating high fiber diet. If you are eating fruits, vegetable, whole grain, you need really to eat the comprehensive part. Either you can eat some are soluble and some are insoluble. Eat plant protein, then animal protein. And then we know that fiber, dietary fiber prevents overweight because you are regularly excreting nicely, and fat is really not absorbed in the large intestine. And it also reduces cardiac problems, diabetes, because it delays glucose, the absorption of too much glucose in the body, and then also the gastrointestinal disorders, because there's really the digestive system is working properly. There's no accumulation of unwanted substances in the gastrointestinal tract, or the gastrointestinal tract is really not put to strain, especially in times of digestion. So let's look at benefit including starch and fiber in your diet. The benefit of starch and fibers in your diet: it reduces constipation, as we discussed. It maintains a healthy body weight. It lowers blood in cholesterol. It reduces the chances of colon cancer, because it means that when you are having constipation, there is really quite the force of the feces around the colon is too much, causing uncomfortability, and it can also result in cancer, because maybe there will be abnormal formation of some structures, and then it risks the formation of gallstone, because the digestive system is really working well. And then it also risk of diabetes is low, and if the person has diabetes, it can be controlled easily. It lowers the risk of hemorrhoids and prevent it, and the risk of appendicitis is also low, as well as the risk of diverticulitis is also low too, if there is really adequate consumption of starch as well as of the fibers. So what are the harmful effects of excessive fiber? Because too much of everything is always causing a problem. If the person is not consuming it in a recommended one, because we say it is 35 grams per day, disposes the energy that may lower intake of nutrients, and is usually harmful. I know especially people who want to be slim, sexy, they consume a lot of fibers, and really that one, too much carbohydrate is being excreted in it, especially in children. That's why we say children, we have to balance. It interferes with the absorption of minerals like iron. It creates the risk of anemia, and it may cause intestinal discomfort. It's actually used in excess. Now that we have discussed about dietary fiber, let's talk about fat. We know fat is important to the body because fat provides energy to the body. But we know there's also good fat and there's also bad fat. Fat is a name of subgroup of the lipids, and they refer to the whole group as fat. Food provides 30 kilojoules per day, and check your food log and then the list of fat that has to be eaten. There's also visible fat as well as the invisible fat. So let's look at some definitions that are used in fat. We have got storage fat, found inside the storage cells and provide the reserve energy source from the body. Structural fat, part of internal cell structure. We've got triglyceride, composed of a molecule of a glycerol with 3 fatty acids. So there's a storage fat, there's a structural fat, as well as the triglyceride. Let's look at the glycerol. It's an alcohol composed of 3 carbon chain which served as a backbone of triglyceride. And let's look at fatty acids. Fatty acids is the organic compound composed of carbon as well as hydrogen atoms. I know by now you know what is a carbon, what does it use, and what is a hydrogen. And when carbon and hydrogen comes together, or carbon and oxygen comes together, forms carbon dioxide, those are your biophysics and biochemistry work. So the different sources of fat and their function. So where there's different food sources where we can get fat. So now let's look at the different food sources and how many percentage of this food percentage contribute to the total fat. Bread and all grain product, it's only 9%. All form of meat, fish, including the seafood, nuts, is 39%, because we said in that one has got the highest amount of saturated fat. We know we are going to discuss about saturated fat as well as dietary cholesterol. And then butter, margarine or oil is 24. That is how it contributes to the total diet if you are eating butter, margarine and oil. Milk, we have got full cream and low cream. All dietary products, they provide 15. We have got food like cakes, biscuits, rusk pudding and fat cook. It's 4. Vegetables and fruits is 8. So what are the function of fats in your body? It's a source of energy. We said fat provides us energy, and it also assists with the absorption of vitamin A and D. It promotes growth and development in children. That's why we said with children, everything that we are feeding, we have to give them full cream yogurt or full cream milk. But however, in the adults, we have to give low cream or full cream or low cream in the milk. It keeps the skin healthy. It assists the different body function. And the 2 groups of fat, we've got the storage fat and the structural fat that we have discussed earlier. So fats in food, we've got saturated fatty acids. Those are fatty acids that hold maximum of hydrogen. And then we've got monosaturated fatty acid. It has got less hydrogen and contain 1 double bond. And then polysaturated fat acid has got least hydrogen and 1 or 2 double bonds. So it means something that has got maximum hydrogen, it means it's got really quite high number of fat. So hydrogenation, what is hydrogenation? Because now we are talking about it's got quite a lot of hydrogen. It has got that. It's a process whereby hydrogen are added to mono and polysaturated to reduce the number of double bond, making the fat more solid. The process to produce trans fat. And what is trans fat acid? Is an unusual arrangement. It's the fatty acids that have got unusual arrangement. I want you to read more about it. What does it mean? When is trans fat important in the body, or is it harmful to the body? So let's look at the triglyceride and fatty acid in the body. We say there are 2 types of fat in the body. We've got storage fat and the structural fat. Triglyceride, 95% is stored in the body in a special storage, that is fat cells, and then energy dense storage under the skin, under the abdomen, and protect the vital organs. We know what are the vital organs. We've got the heart, we have got the liver, we've got the kidneys also. So it also provides energy to support life activity. It insulates the body in the extreme temperature. It helps the body to use carbohydrate and protein efficiently. So fatty acids come from the foods that we have. And I told you I've got fatty acids that are essential. That's why I say there's got good fat and there's also fat that is not good. And the essential acids are nutrients that the body make or cannot make in sufficient quantity to meet the physiological needs. You see, like the lionic and the linolenic. Those are the type of the essential fatty acid. So what is the role of this omega-6, that is a linoleic acid? It regulates the blood pressure, it regulates blood clot formation, it regulates blood lipids, it regulates the body immune system in response to injury and function. And where do we get this omega-6? I know people are also selling omega-6 as like omega-6 as a tablet itself. However, you can get it from the olive oil or sunflower oil. And then we have got linolenic, that is omega-3, and it's a fatty acid. It's needed for normal brain development. It's helpful in the prevention of heart disease, hypertension, cancer, and arthritis. And that type of fatty acids, you can get it through a tablet. People buy it. Or you can also eat soya beans, oily fish like the sardines and salmon. I know you can, those are oily fish and they are rich in omega-3. And that is the linolenic acid, fatty acid. So what happens if a person has now this deficiency of omega-3? There can be growth retardation, the reproductive failure, skin lesion, kidney and liver disease, subtle neurological problems, visual problem, and impaired immune system. And the health effects of fats, it has now cardiovascular disease, and then omega-3 fatty acids reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, high diet in fat increase risk of cancer, obesity, too much fat in the diet increase weight. So it means especially the bad fats, they can really cause cardiovascular diseases, and the other thing is that it can cause cancer, and if you have too much fat, it can lead to obesity, and that obesity is also having a lot of underlying conditions. What is the recommended dietary? Reduce the total of intake of fat. We said you can eat fat, but really you cannot eat it so much. I see some people are preparing meat. The meat is also fatty, but they are still adding oil there. And some people are even, some tradition, people take oil and they drink, especially the fatty, the oil that is animal based. Is really, really dangerous. Reduce saturated fat intake. We said saturated fat, which has got a lot of hydrogen, it has to be reduced. And then the fat that has got high in cholesterol has also to be reduced. And as we have discussed, meat is a source of different minerals and vitamins, but it's supposed not to be eaten too much. You can eat meat once a week, but not every day. So select lean meat. What is lean meat? I want you to give me a feedback. What is lean meat? Eat plenty of vegetable, fruits, use fats and oils sparingly. Some people are putting too much oil in their foods until they see that it's really oily, and when you are eating, you can even really smear that oil and you can see that it's oil really. Look out for invisible fat. Look differently cooking methods such as steaming and boiling. We are really not advising frying. I know many people like the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Hungry Lion, and those things really you cannot eat them every day. Read labels on food containers to identify fat content. Every type of food has got this food content. Like this one is saying is energy, how many percent, glyceric carbohydrate, total fat, here there is 0, dietary fiber, sodium, pantothenic acid, and vitamin B6. So when I am now a professional nurse educating my patients. I must educate them to look on the nutritional information of every food container, and these people must really know that this one has got too much saturated fat, I cannot consume it. And then the protein, we're finished with the fat, and I really want you to read further regarding fat. Essential, we've got essential protein. It's a nutrient that the body cannot make sufficient quantity to meet its psychological needs. So it means it's essential. It means that the body needs to be provided with protein in order to meet its physiological needs. What are the functions of protein in the body? It's for growth and repair. It means if you do not have adequate protein, then you cannot grow. The tissues cannot grow, and it can also not be repaired in terms of if there is a damage. It's a building material. Enzymes play a role in the digestive system. It's also a regulator of fluids and electrolytes in the body. Protein is acid regulators. They are also helping in regulating acids that are in our body. It's transporters, it's substance around the bodies. We know about the vitamins. Some of the vitamins assist in transport. They have been transported by proteins, such as like we know them in oxygen and minerals. They are also serving as antibodies. It means this protein can protect the body against different diseases, and it also supply our bodies with energy. So protein needs of an individual depend on the size, age, sex, childbearing age, and then they said adult recommended intake is 0.8 grams per kilograms, and the child intake is higher. Why? The child's intake of protein has to be higher because the child is growing from birth until 18. That child needs to eat a lot of protein, because if they do not eat protein, they are going to have protein energy malnutrition, leading to kwashiorkor, a case scenario that really you do not want to see among your children, or that you are what. So let's look at water, an essential nutrient. Water is life. Why do we need water in our body? Actively participate in the chemical reaction. It also serves as solvent for a number of substances. It acts as a lubricant at the cushions of our joints. It regulates the body temperature. It maintains the blood volume. And 60% of the body is water of an adult male person. So definition, water balance is the balance between water intake and water output, and that is the loss. Thirsty, what is thirsty is a conscious desire to drink water. And what is dehydration? Dehydration is actually a condition where most of our patients are facing, and that is a condition where water output is really excessive than water input, especially those people who have got diarrhea. And satiety is a feeling of fullness or satisfaction after you have eaten. So water balance in the body. Blood becomes too concentrated, mouth becomes too dry, and only will respond by drinking water. The body will tell you when to seek water. Sometimes we are too absorbed and cannot respond in time. Is example, the athletes, children playing, elderly. If you're walking outside, you might not have time to get water, and body switch by adoption the state in what may forget, and you can easily become dehydrated, especially in our country where really the temperature goes up to 45 Celsius degrees. Water losses. How the body loses its water? Because we need adequate water. Body excretes 1,000 ml per day in the urine. The lungs, skins, and feces. There's also some component of water, especially when you are sweating, and the total amount of water lost per day is about 2.5 liters. That's why you really need to consume a lot of water. In water sources, We get water from the liquid, and most of the time, me during summer, I like water. The food components that we are getting also have got water, liquids, and actually 2 liters per day or more. Stay away from alcohol and caffeine as well as diuretics because they are going to cause dehydration. So let's look at that is really. So I want you really to go and study further regarding food, because what I gave you is really skeleton, and this nutritional component have to assist you as a professional nurse in really ensuring that you are quite knowledgeable, and then you really have to give health education. And what I also want you to know as students, I will really leave you with a lot of work to do that you need really to research on, because you may find some of these things from in your question paper when I'm giving you an assignment or a test. And please do not say that you were not really taught, because I gave you the skeleton. I want you to feel the muscles. With literature, especially, I want you to take note of the diet for sports and exercise, and the diet with different diseases like the cardiovascular, diabetes, cancer, obesity, eating disorders. And I also want you to do nutrition with heart tissues, diet and the gastrointestinal tract, diet and genotype interaction, and the nutritional epidemiology. And also I also want you to read about public health and nutrition. So this information, I'm uploading it, and I want you the whole week from I want you to take note that the whole week of the 6th, from today, tomorrow the 3rd, until the 8th, I want you to really keep yourself busy with this information, because this nutrition, because I'm going to send you assessment on your module, and I expect you to respond really positively. And then if I'm going to give you an assignment, I want you to report on module. Because why I'm saying on module is because our supervisors, our deans are observing what we are doing on module. I appreciate the fact that the students are communicating to me on WhatsApp, but really also ask on module, so that maybe the question that you have, other people are having the same concern. And then really, and I want to ask you on module, when can we go online, all of us, so that we can discuss issues related to school health and adolescent, as well as human nutrition? Because as from the other week from the 10th until the 17th, just before the lockdown, I'm going to introduce you to other topics also. Thank you very much, students. You can always really click in module, get a question, then I can answer it with time, especially when I go on. Thank you very much.